Oh, yes, guys. Oh, yes. Should be live. Welcome, everyone, to yet another episode of DCA. As you know, we do it every week, sometimes on my channel, sometimes on CTO, sometimes on James Invest Answers. And today we're dumping. So today we're going to keep it very, very simple. We will be speaking about the dump, about the ETF, the GBTC outflows, all of that good stuff. Then, of course, we will be taking your questions. We'll be looking at the charts with CTO. We're going to look at the data with James. So, guys, how are you doing? James, CTO, what has been happening during the weekend? How are you feeling? Let's start with you, James, then we'll go to CTO.
Yeah, good, not bad at all. I'm doing two videos a day now, just for a small little series for 12 days. So I'm actually nice to see that things are going down, but hitting support levels. So it's time to go shopping. It gives us more opportunity to buy the dip, as they say, and it's nice to see as well that some of the other proxies have actually rebounded very well, like Bitcoin miners. So I, I I'm fine. I mean, people freak out. One of the things kind of unusual is I've noticed the sentiment is so weak and so fearful, and I can't figure out why. I mean, we're at 41,000 on Bitcoin, and we've had the most spectacular 2023. But I think the expectations were for us to go to the moon immediately, and that didn't happen. So people are crushed. I mean, the sentiment is as bad as it was in November 2022, in my opinion. So
Yeah, and it changes so quickly. That's crazy. Just a week ago, we were going to the moon. It's like 40K last week, and is this Leonardo DiCaprio with the glass in Gatsby, and then 40K this week is the homeless the DiCaprio.
it's crazy.
CTO,
That's
what about you? How has the weekend been?
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic, fantastic. I'm actually very excited about the price action, but I guess we'll talk about that in detail. But I'm pumped, actually. This is the dream scenario playing out, I think.
Yeah, and maybe let's start with that. Let me share the screen here for a second, and then we're gonna go to your screen also, CTO. So something very interesting that I've noticed. I was just looking at the charts before we went live. I have the halving here in the blue. So this blue vertical line is the halving, and yeah, we're very soon there, just a few months, and we're kind of starting to dump here. Then, if you look back in 2019. Here's the halving in 2020, and in 2019, well, here in 2020 we did dump as well. So this was a pre-halving dump. We picked out here in 2019. So right before this halving here, last one, we also had a dump. Then you go back to the other one here in 2016. We did have a peak here as well and had a dump. And all of these dumps are like quite significant. This one was 40%. The other one is 30%. So, what do you guys make out of this? Do you think that there's any pattern here with the pre-halving dump? And curious to hear your analysis as well of the chart, CTO.
Yeah, absolutely. So if I can share my screen here.
There you go.
So this is actually, I said it before the ETF approval that I had something I call scenario 1, which was my main scenario, where I felt that what could happen is that we have a pump after the approval, which happened. We actually got a high of almost 50,000, 49,102 on this one, and little different on some other exchanges. But we got the pump. And then I felt that unless the inflow is immediate, that, billions and billions are just throwing at here, there could be like people start feeling, oh, what now? This was the big thing, and where's all the billions coming? And there is a retracement. And I felt that there's only really two sub-scenarios of that one. One is that we get a dump to this support, which I put here at 40,625. That's exactly where we are now. It has held 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Today is the 8th time we're trying that one. Could still hold. We don't know that yet. If that doesn't hold, I think that the next support then is this one. That would be the next logical support. So my main scenario is exactly this, that after the pump, after the approval, we have a retracement, which has already happened to this one. So the only question now is if it retraces here or if it retraces deeper to this one. And I think what will determine that is exactly what happens with the Grayscale and the ETF flows. And that, I guess, we can all speculate about here, because there is a lot of BTC in the Grayscale. And of course, a lot of those people, would now maybe prefer to move out of Grayscale and move into one of the better ETFs. But are they going to move immediately? Or will they try to manipulate a little bit first? You know, can they move out first? Can they bring down the price and then buy in at a lower level? Or they don't dare to take that risk? I think that's the question. And there's no doubt in my mind that flows are going to continue into the new ETFs. The only question is if it's happening immediately or is there a lag, as everyone is getting their billions ready to put into these new ETFs. I think that's the question, and I'm very excited about this. This is fantastic. When there is movement, that's the opportunity. If it just goes in a straight line, it's very boring and much less opportunity for us. So that's my scenario one. And
guys, we just get the live feed from all the grandpas and grandmas that bought the ETF on the first day. Is this destroyed Pepe? Grandmas and grandpas who bought ETF on day one, and yeah, since then we've had a small pump to 50K, and now we're trending down. Now, James, what's your? Or sorry, Cito, did you have something else on that price?
No, that was it.
James, how do you look at this? Let me share another thing also before I give the microphone to you about this GBTC situation. So it happened today as well. Every day we see these transfers into Coinbase, which are from GBTC. And so GBTC holders are selling off. And the market almost priced it in today because the market started to dump even before they started to transfer. So what's your view on this? And how do you think this will affect the prices in the coming weeks?
Yeah, let me see if I my screen. Let me see. Make sure everything is okay. StreamYard, where are you? So I just put together a little illustration to really explain exactly what's going on. And I track this all the time. Share screen. This one. Let me see. Not this. And CTO's dead right, by the way. This is the 41K level support that we've hit 8 times. So I'm glad that you pointed that out. This is the flow of all the ETF. Can you see? I assume
Let's see. We see your TradingView chart.
Oh, say
the wrong tab.
Okay, there.
There we have it.
Okay. So these are all the flows that I track every single day from all the different funds. And yes, the thing to cast your eye on here is this green line. This is the GBTC flow out. And you can see it started slow on the first day, second day. And then what's really interesting is day 3, 5, and 6 are all exactly the same. So that's a good sign. It's not accelerating. What is somehow a little more different is the inflows into the 2 big ones, which is Fidelity and BlackRock. BlackRock is in red. Fidelity is in blue. Fidelity is getting quicker because they're probably much more versed with what Bitcoin is. They've been mining for 10 years, etc. And they have the ability to maybe convince their customers faster. The most important thing, and sorry if the slide's a bit messed up, but the chart should tell everything you need to know, especially this one. These are the flows into the different assets. You can see now Fidelity just surpassed BlackRock, which is interesting. BlackRock is going to come back because they're bigger. But if you look at the net flow, that 750,000 Bitcoin was taken out of the market in 6 days. That's nearly 1 million Bitcoin. Okay. That's what people need to focus on. Yes, a lot left GBTC, but a lot has been gobbled up by the other players. So that's kind of what I see right now in the market.
So is it net positive inflows?
Oh, yes,
yes. Past
yes.
week, yeah?
Like 75,000 or 75, not 7, did I say 750,000? 75,000 Bitcoin got pulled out.
So
they're halfway to being as big as MicroStrategy in 6 days.
Yeah.
MicroStrategy has been stacking since 2020. That's kind of the big message here for everybody to take away.
And the market focuses mainly on the sell transactions. Everyone is freaking out when these Bitcoin are going into Coinbase. But the question is, where is BlackRock's and Fidelity's buy transactions? Because by the same token, they should be going out into cold storage. Have you guys tracked anything on chain in regards to the BlackRock buys?
Yeah, I have the BlackRock wallet address, and you can see. But what's interesting is there's a massive time lag between the time. Say, for example, somebody puts money into BlackRock on Thursday. Then the money doesn't turn into Bitcoin probably until today, maybe even Tuesday in some cases. So the money flows in, and then they got a big cash balance, and then they got to work with Coinbase OTC, and Coinbase are pulling in the Bitcoin from Grayscale, and they're just swapping it all and making nice margins on the spread. So these guys are very happy to see Bitcoin at 40,500 because they were selling spot on Thursday at maybe 41,800. Now they're buying at 40,500. And this is what I can't put my finger on, but I guarantee you it's happening. There's a game happening behind the scenes. And remember, people say, oh, how will poor BlackRock and Fidelity make money when fees are only 20 basis points? They make it on the spreads, everybody. The bid-ask spreads, the market making. Market making is called money making, and that's where they do it. Everybody's making money behind the scenes. You just don't see it reflected in the price. But the most important thing is on that chart is, remember, Grayscale is going to slow down. No more than 10 to 20% of the Grayscale fund is actually in pension accounts. And therefore, actually, is an interesting question there. The pension accounts will be depleted soon at this current rate. Maybe somewhere from 2 to 6 weeks, the Grayscale selling should stop, because the other people that have GBTC, they have long-term capital gains, and they're not going to sell and incur taxes unless they are in a tax-free zone. So I do believe that bleeding will stop soon. And that question is very interesting that just popped up there too regarding Coinbase. I think we should discuss. A lot of people think Coinbase are making a killing. It's a double-edged sword. Yes, they're making a killing on the OTC market, but they're losing on the selling of the Bitcoin market. So people that would traditionally buy Bitcoin on Coinbase, it's now far cheaper, literally, even with fees, to buy it on the ETF.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing this morning, that the ETF takes away this business model of onboarding newbies, which is a very lucrative one, because you can have 5%, maybe even more, 10% spread. I mean, here in Sweden, I've seen some insane spreads on this on-ramper websites, and it kind of disappears now because you have the ETFs. But yeah, Coinbase is probably doing quite well with that, with all of these inflows. I mean, I'm sure they take some volume fee. Or do you think that the stock of Coinbase will appreciate more as more people get to understand this, or do you think it's quite priced in already, the fact that Coinbase is underpinning all ETFs?
I don't know how much they're making on the OTC market. They're making something, but I don't know if it's enough to overwhelm the loss they're making in not selling Bitcoin. And I remember looking at the spread between like Binance and Coinbase last year. It was $300 spreads all the time, like you're seeing. And that's Binance versus Coinbase. The other thing that's happening too is people are getting more accustomed with using DEXs. And DEXs are eating into the Coinbase market share. I mean, when you see the speed of a DEX and the spread of a DEX and the peer-to-peer capability of a DEX compared to what you're doing on Coinbase, it's like, once DEX, never go back, literally.
Yeah. CTO, have you been following the GBTC situation, and what's your take on this thing? Because also, like Eugene said, like 2 to 6 weeks, if we get hammered for 2 to 6 weeks like this, let's see where people is gonna be.
I made an in-depth video on it actually on my channel, and I think it boiled because Grayscale, the Grayscale trust has the previous Grayscale trust, it has so many Bitcoin. They can keep doing I mean, it's not Grayscale dumping, right? It's the owners of the shares that are dumping, but there's a lot of Bitcoin there, so it can go on for a very long time if they decide to do it. And I think it will boil down to, who are those people now selling? Are they in agreement with each other? Have they made like a backdoor deal that, guys, we dump first and then we buy back the ETFs a couple of weeks later? Are they those kind of people? Or are they just independent, like everyone else? We start feeling the stress, so it's the halving, we better stack up on the Bitcoin, so they're selling the GBTC and buying the ETFs. Is it? Or have, which one is it? Because if they have agreed to manipulate, they can keep selling a lot. And so far, the inflow has actually been bigger than the outflows. It hasn't kind of worked yet, but there is a lot of supply there, guys. So that's really the question. And I don't know the answer. I don't know if they are in agreement with each other and trying a little bit of manipulation here, because you get the point, right? You don't need to buy back immediately if you know that today I'm selling, billions and billions. Tomorrow you're going to say billion and billion, and then James is going to say billion. Then price is going to go down, and then we buy back. That would be a manipulation game. And the funny thing here is that the reason the SEC didn't want to approve this Bitcoin spot ETF was about concerns about manipulation. Now the ETF is approved, and it could be that becomes like the key to big manipulation games instead. But I don't know, or it turns here. In the end, I will just follow the price. The truth is in the price. We cannot trust anyone on social media. We cannot trust what they are saying, but we can sometimes disclose, or we can uncover what they're actually doing by looking at the chart. And so far, the support has not broken, as James pointed out also. It's the same support. Now it's there at the 8th time. It has not broken down yet. So, but if it breaks, then I will at least consider that possibility and make sure that I can take advantage in case we come to a lower support. Perhaps we don't. Okay, then we're just happy with all the positions we have. But if it happens, I want to make sure that I haven't excluded that possibility, because then I want to buy there as well, because I think that once this may or may not be manipulation, but sooner or later, the inflow here will continue. Now we have all these huge trusted company out marketing Bitcoin. Like I see on Twitter, there's like on subway stations in the US, everywhere they're out marketing now. And this is going to create inflow, but maybe it takes a couple of weeks or months for people to understand. And then I think inflow will continue, and I think we will go up much higher. I'm just looking, will there be one more opportunity to load up on lower prices? In that case, I want to take advantage of it. That's how I'm looking at this.
So, someone said that. Oh, you're muted. You're muted, James.
The good news of this is literally the flows are coming in. The flows are accelerating. That's the positive, and Grayscale will stop. What you're seeing right now is just confusion in the markets. And the most important thing to zoom out, everybody, like my support layer would be, say, 38 to 39K level, 38.5, somewhere around there. So if we do break through that 46, which is held so strong for a month now, the next floor down is not far away. So when people are considering, I'm waiting for 32,000 or 30,000, which I've heard so many times, even people calling for 25,000, it can't happen when the ETFs, even with the Grayscale dumpage, they're gobbling up way more that's been produced every single day by the miners. Way, way more. That is the thing. I made a whole video about the supply crunch, and that's what people should look at and understand. And right now, actually, the good juju from the audience here has pumped Bitcoin $339 since we started.
Up only. Up only. Yeah, I mean, I also have a 30. I also have my next support at around 38 as well, because that was previous resistance. But then yes, there's also a massive support there at 30K, like you said, CCO. But the thing here is that it is short term. Halving is in a few months. It's normal with a bit of a dump before the halving, and we're already, like someone also said in the chat, we are already almost 20% down from the peak of 49, and we're 20% down from the peak from 49. And so these dumps before the halving are normal, and it's all about the end of the year. Where are we at the end of the year? That's the key question, and that's also the key question for all coins. That's the key question for this whole industry. How do you guys think that this year will unfold? I mean, obviously we are reactive, we cannot predict, but if you are to speculate dubiously, how do you think we will evolve from here into the halving, into the summer, and afterwards? Because that's probably the number one question everyone is thinking about right now. CTO, let's start with you. If you are to, I know you are reacting. You're not predicting, but based on the previous cycle, based on your experience, how would you think that this year unfolds?
I'm very positive. I think that the ETF approval is actually a massive event because of the marketing. Suddenly, these companies will be out and market Bitcoin to completely new categories of people. And it's not three weird guys like us talking now. It's BlackRock trusted people who are talking to pension funds and saying that, this is something that you could consider. It's a new asset category, and it's something. It's not just the three crazy guys on the internet. So I definitely think that will have an impact. I am very positive, actually. That's my whole take on it. I think the uptrends will continue. And these things I'm talking about with support and so on, it's really fine-tuning only. And you try to buy a dip in downtrends. You try to buy a dip in uptrends, and we are in uptrend. So that's how I see it. I see it very simple.
Good. I have some breaking news, everybody, as well.
Yes.
What is the best way to share this? I'll just share my screen again. Hold on a second.
I hope it's bullish.
It's interesting. It's very interesting. And explain some stuff. Yeah. Boom. You guys see this?
Let's see. Yep. Let's see.
All right. So this just broke. And FTX sold about $1 billion worth of Grayscale Bitcoin ETF, explaining the outflows. All right. And I was wondering, it's like, wow, these people with retirement accounts, they're moving a lot of money very, very fast. And you can tell, because remember that chart I showed you? It was done in very equal sized tranches. Boom, boom, boom. It was very consistent, very controlled. Then it's a pro selling. That's probably why the huge dumpage. And the question is, are they done? I don't have the answer to that yet, but they could be.
And actually, it makes sense that it is a bunch of crypto bros in this GBTC trade, because it was crypto bros who were farming it on that discount. It was this whole trade where I don't know the full mechanics of it, but it's basically 3 Arrows Capital, probably FTX was involved as well, and where they collaborated with Barry
Silbert, yeah.
Exactly. I don't know the full mechanics, but now that I see FTX, it comes back to mind that it's all these crypto bros who have been early in GBTC, and probably that's them unwinding it as well.
Yeah, and you'll notice as well a sequence of events. The SEC did not approve the Bitcoin or the Bitcoin ETFs until the nefarious characters were taken out of the game. They be Barry Silbert, CZ from Binance, Do Kwon, etc. All these guys, they had to be locked up and eliminated or pushed out of their positions. That was kind of the key.
Exactly. And I think this is similar to the data that James, you just showed. This is from Eric Balchunas. Very useful account to follow, guys, if you're not already. So Grayscale outflows was total 2.8 billion until day 6, which was last Friday, I think. Or was it?
Yes, Friday.
Yeah, last Friday. Yeah. So, okay, so 1 billion of that's 1/3. If that was FTX, that's of course very significant. Absolutely.
But the thing that people need to understand is who else is going to drop $1 billion of GBTC? ARK already sold theirs before the ETF and pumped it into their ARK project. So the question is, are there any big bag holders left? And remember, that was easily absorbed by the other players and another 75,000 Bitcoin. So that's the big takeaway for everybody here.
Yeah, I don't know who the other holders are. That would be very interesting to know, actually. So if anyone listening can find out who are the holders, really, I would be extremely interested in that.
Yeah. My bet would be 3 Arrows Capital if they still, well, I mean, they are bankrupt and the state probably will do something similar. But yeah, it is the crypto natives, so to speak, that are the main participants.
Can I show this one also, just to complete this picture? So the gray one here is the Grayscale BTC balance. And that, as you see here, these are, I don't know if you can see it, guys. I try to zoom in. So here you can see that it's dropping, but there's still a lot left. So that's basically just the scale of the reason that I'm interested in this is like, who are the ones left here?
Yeah. So my math is, I think there was, before the ETF was launched, I think there was 619,000 in the fund. You take 20% of that as the maximum amount that will be sold in a tax-free way or in an FTX way. So you pull 1.2 million off, and we've already sold. Let me check my model again. 1.2 million. They've already sold. I'm getting confused now. What was the drainage of GBTC so far in the numbers of Bitcoin?
If this is correct, it's 70,000 total from 619, like you said, to this one now shows 551K.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure if it's completely complete. There could be other addresses also. This is just one service.
Yeah. But more than half the damage is done, in my opinion, I believe.
Yeah.
We could go down to that 450 level, which is possible, but it'll take time. Nobody I was wondering is how so much was sold so fast. I mean, these OTC desks must have been burning up, unless they, of course, they're on the phone. It's like, oh, hey, nefarious character. Yeah, we got a buyer for that. And let's just match buyer and seller, market making. And that's how it works.
Yeah.
It's funny, but good news to discover that.
Yeah, that was a very good news, actually. Thanks for sharing that, James. I hadn't seen that.
Someone mentioned Mashinsky and Celsius. They were involved in some way, although it also says that they did realize losses on the trade because Mashinsky was trading himself, basically. He took over control of the Celsius trading desk and got into GBTC, got wrecked. But it seems that he also got out, so probably not Celsius. But yeah, that's it, guys, in terms of the price, in terms of the current environment. I hope you guys in the audience have a better understanding of what's happening. Let's switch gears a bit towards this interesting news, which is a new kind of regulation coming to the EU. And EU, they love regulation. They love it. They are proud to be the regulatory innovators of the world, that they're pushing regulation. They think it's some kind of innovation. They were so happy when GDPR got adopted in California. I mean, these bureaucrats, they were saying that, these Americans, Californians, they follow in our footstep, It's not like EU invented AI or Google search engine or Tesla self-driving. No, it was regulation. And anyway, but now they have a fully, you thought that they were done. No, they have a new trick up their sleeve, a fully new innovation, which has to do with crypto this time. It's a new type of anti-money laundering rule where basically if you receive more than 1,000 euro as a business, then you cannot do it yourself. You need to use a third party because you will have to basically KYC your client, which you will not do yourself. And instead, this will create this intermediation of crypto, which kind of defeats the whole purpose of crypto as well, which blows my mind. I mean, they basically take crypto back to banking. They want crypto to be used as banks, but crypto was invented because we don't like the banks. So what's your view on this, guys? CTO, let's start with you and then go to James as well, because I'm sure this is going to come to the US. Elizabeth Warren is already salivating seeing this. CTO, let's start with you.
Yeah, of course. I think it's very unfortunate, actually, if you cannot. I mean, crypto, after all, started as an peer-to-peer electronic cash system. And it would be pity if you take that out, that you can realistically no longer use it as a peer-to-peer electronic cash system. Because if then, Ivan sells me his beautiful microphone cover for $1,000 and I want to pay him then in USDT or Bitcoin, something like that. Okay, but then Ivan has to go and do complete KYC on me as a customer, right? It becomes impossible. You cannot run a business like that. If you go to any store and you buy a microphone with a beautiful microphone cover there, they will not KYC you. They will not say that, no, but I cannot sell this thing to you. Please present your entire financial history and your passport and your birth certificate and everything, whatever it is. And where did you get the money from anyway? Please show me your employment form, right? That doesn't happen if you go to Best Buy or something like that to buy a beautiful microphone cover. They just, you take your card, you pay it, you go out with the stuff, that's it. But here they want to introduce that complication, which then makes it economically unfeasible to use it as peer-to-peer electronic cash, because $1,000 is too little money to do all those kind of stuff, especially if you're operating a low margin business. You cannot. So then you cannot pay to a wallet. But as I understand, it would still be permitted to pay them to an exchange account. So the company would have an exchange account, and then the exchange has to do the due diligence. As I read this text, I'm not a lawyer, but that's how I read it. But yeah, it would be a pity, actually, I think. And I hope it doesn't go through, but I'm not clear exactly if this is decided already or not.
Yeah,
They are in agreement, yeah.
And this is part of everything that's going on. It's all part of the whole central bank digital currency strategy, which Europe is a very big friend of. And this is going to really spike the sales of VPNs and push people offshore like we've never seen before, because Europe is extremely crypto hungry. Like if I look at my audience, I'd say 40% comes from Europe, maybe even more. That's more than the United States. So, and if you look at countries like the Netherlands, Portugal, Spain, Germany, all of Scandinavia, for some reason, those United Kingdom as well, Ireland, those countries are the most hungry for crypto information. So when they put these rules in place, what these government fools, these dictators, autocrats don't realize is people are clever, and there's a million ways around. And if you look, there's another very interesting piece of news today, somewhere out there, that they discovered that in China, I think peer-to-peer transactions on WeChat have become an integral part of daily life. Everybody's cashless, but now people are trading at the grocery store, etc., peer-to-peer with different methods, not just the digital yuan, but other things as well. So nothing can stop technology, and technology is always years ahead of government regulations. I always joke, working at the speed of government. So what they're doing is just either pushing people offshore, pushing people into riskier ways of moving money and having crypto. And I think it's bad for them in many ways too, because I know a lot of people as well. They're looking at the countries in which they live, like in the US, for example, and they're looking at the path and direction, and they're looking at the shootings. Like there's more shootings in the US now than El Salvador, believe it or not. And they're saying, this land of the free and everything else is no longer that. And now they're making plans. Okay, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, I'll be living in Portugal or El Salvador or in the jungle in Indonesia or somewhere like that. And that's the big trend of what's happening. And the people that move, I always also say the fittest rats jump off the ship fastest. The rats can sense stuff, but they're also the ones holding all the money. And they're the ones that go too. So countries are, and we saw a mini example of that happen in California, where all the multi-billionaires, richest people in the world, Larry Ellison, Elon Musk, yada, yada, all left California. And then 2 years later, California's looking through their books and their profit and loss account and saying, hey, we're missing 60 billion in tax revenue. What happened? It's like, there you go. It's the fittest rats will jump.
Yeah. And if I can just add one thing, apparently, so you can pay for 10,000 euro in cash, which is completely untraceable. That is like, I guess, what the criminals actually use, because it is actually untraceable. But you can only pay 1,000 with crypto that is forever visible publicly to everyone in the whole world on the blockchain, with AI being added so you can trace transactions back. That is difficult to understand from a logic perspective. I think.
Yep. It's about
And
control.
I wonder why more Silicon Valley firms are not moving away from California, because Tesla has moved, right? Or at least Elon Musk has
Headquarters.
moved.
And the headquarters has moved to Texas, yes.
Yeah, yeah. And also in Sweden, I remember when the government introduced some weird bank tax, the largest bank moved to Finland, Nordea. They moved like the next year very quickly. But I think this whole move from the West is not priced in, because people don't really think about it. We think about it because we are in this digital environments, but more and more people are realizing, wait a second, I can work from my computer anywhere. And yes, people have been saying it's nice to travel, the sun, the beach, like being free, but also, man, you save a lot of tax, a lot. And also you save annoying bureaucrats who control too much, way too much. And this whole lifestyle and view of the government and view of your freedom, it's something that most people are just now starting to get and starting to feel. At least that's how I see it. It starts in crypto, starts in this digital environments, but more and more of the workforce is also digital. And I wonder when we will see Silicon Valley firms moving as well, because if anyone, they could do it. And I know that you, James, have been living in that region. So how do you see it?
Well,
it like this whole?
Well, just to answer your question, Silicon Valley is not dead. For example, AI robotics team is still in Palo Alto here in California. All of the office space in San Francisco is empty after C19. Now it's becoming AI startups. So, and Sand Hill Road is still the global center of venture capital. So it's not dead, but I'm just talking about the 100 billionaire types. They all left.
So I know it's not dead, but it should be more dead. Like if I'm thinking 20 years, 10 years into the future, if this trend continues, it should be at least declined, because you have so many options. You can be anywhere. Maybe there is a network effect that is still strong, but there's going to be new network effects building up in different hubs, whether it's Singapore or Dubai or somewhere else. And that's not priced in, how the entrepreneurs, the startups, the VCs are going to relocate to other places. And maybe it starts with crypto, and crypto attracts more and more capital into this industry. And then if you want capital, you got to be in crypto. It's kind of true right now. If you want to do a startup, the best way is in crypto, because you have instant liquidity. If you do an IDO or ICO, however you want it, and although it has a bad name, there are many successful ICOs, including Binance and many others. So probably that's the future. And
you see that happening as well, like crypto marketing firms. I think Coin Bureau, they moved from London to Dubai. Their whole team. You're seeing a lot of crypto companies moving straight to Dubai as well. So that's definitely, the trend is there. And the future, I think the future in big painting will be kind of gig everything. Gig jobs, gig places to live, ultra mobility. People will go where they want to be based on the season and be very flexible. And that's also happening. What's the internet guy, the Bitcoiner from the Netherlands who lives in a van and is in Thailand now?
Bitcoin, Didi, I think he's called.
Didi, yeah. Like he started this 7 years ago. So that's just an example of what's going on.
Yeah, I feel that we see something here in this community, which is a precursor for the rest of the society, because I've done that journey. So before, when I worked in corporate, I was packing my suitcase, driving to the airport, flying across the world, going to a hotel, checking in, checking out, going to the meeting room, doing my presentation and talking to the people. And then, packing the suitcase, fly to the next place, next day, do it again, next week, fly here and there, and so on and so forth. And then I left that, and I stumbled on many steps. I stumbled into crypto. And then everyone was having digital meetings. And I'm realizing that I don't even remember where these people are. And I have to ask, excuse me, are you from South America or Southeast Asia? I couldn't hear what you said. And I had all my meetings and all my work at the kitchen table. And I realized, this was maybe 2017. And I realized this is so much better. We were behind. We didn't get it. This is better. It's a better model. I can have many more meetings. I'm much more productive, learn much more, do much more, much better. And I tried to tell everyone around me, and they nah, but it's the personal meeting, and that would never work. Then came COVID, and if that hadn't happened, I think most of the world still wouldn't have gotten it. But then they kind of got it, that, oh, actually you can work remote and it still works. And now we're at the next step. Now we here in this space, which is completely digital and global, because crypto is global, the protocols work globally. We come to all the companies come to the conclusion, but wait a minute now, we just sit by our computer anyway, and the whole protocol is global. Why are we sitting here? Why aren't we sitting there instead? Because that is better for some reason. And then it takes a little time, but then they move. They actually move, like the examples you gave. They actually do move. And then they're going to do that growth and development in there.
And once you know
the
someone
whole world here is like stuck in the past. They don't get it. And I think it will not only be the crypto companies. I think it will be all the companies. We're just a little bit earlier than the rest of them. They will soon realize that why are we sitting in this camp if everyone is sitting by their computer sending emails to each other anyway? We can as well move over there. It's lower taxes, better environment, better work culture, whatever it is. And they move. And I think that, as you said, it's not priced in. The change, the transformation, this will change the whole world. Like countries like El Salvador, Argentina, maybe, and Southeast Asia, Singapore, and Thailand. A lot of countries, they're going to have these enormous upswings, while the old world, the action they're taking is that let's make it more difficult. Let's add more regulation. Let's make it even less attractive, because we're the leader in regulation and so on. Okay, but I think the speech by the Argentinian president really put the finger on this. That, okay, but is that the right approach, really? Looking at the history. And I think that that's like a world transformation. It's like a slow-moving, huge ship. And it's gonna keep moving. And it's like you say, it's not priced in. And unless the Western leadership start doing things differently, I think they will find a lot of the leading entrepreneurs and companies moving out.
Yeah, this is incredible. And I just thank you for sharing that as well, Ivan. More kind of like breaking news, and it ties into exactly what we were just discussing. First of all, this is Jenny Johnson. She's the CEO of Franklin Templeton. They're embracing crypto big time, full hog. They're even talking about things like Solana and stuff. But she says here, one of the things that made me a believer is that someone told me, if I keep 50% of my savings in Bitcoin, because I say the wrong thing in my country, I could have my assets confiscated. That's exactly what we're talking about here. I was on Altcoin Daily on a Spaces on Thursday night, and they said CBDCs are actually good. They're more efficient, more effective. I'm like, you guys are completely clueless. This is now the head of a massive TradFi organization with trillions under management. And they're saying that. And guess who else is saying that too? Larry Fink, on the heels of, if you do not trust your government, this is why you need Bitcoin. But the problem is, though, imagine this, the irony of Larry Fink saying that you got your money in an ETF. You can't exactly put it on a wallet and go. So that's a little bit misleading, but I thought that was interesting to share. What do you guys think about that?
I love it. I mean, there is always a big problem with the bank account. Like, you don't know whether it's yours because it's not yours. You're just one party in the multisig. Well, actually, you're not even an admin in the multisig. The government and the bank, they're admins, and then you have like a user, like the lowest user access role. And it expires, by the way, if your electric bill is more than 3 months old, and then you have no access anymore. I never liked that. And so just this peace of mind that actually there is some stuff in a wallet, and that wallet is just words. And it's such a nice freedom feeling. I don't know if you guys feel the same, but it's like a massive like weight of your shoulder, where you know that, man, there is a type of money where it's truly yours. It's insane. Once you feel it, you never go back. You never ever go back. And another thing, what you said, Mrs. about moving, it's a network effect, because as soon as you know someone that moved, now everyone wants to move also. So as soon as you see, oh, it actually wasn't that hard, now everyone wants to do it as well. So I think it's not priced in, but it's gonna go so quick. Probably within the coming 10 years, the world is going to be very different. And whoever is leading this and whoever is the startup capital of the world, whichever region, is going to be very different. CTO, anything to add on this in regards to government trust?
Yeah, I think that, like you said, I mean, the government in one, at least it's like a democratic process. We might disagree with the new regulation, but at least we've somehow elected those people. They voted, there's some rules and stuff like that. I think the banks are kind of different. I have so many people who have been in my office in Sweden, and like a 62-year-old high school teacher, and he bought Bitcoin for like $1,000, and then he sold them for 2,000 or something like that. And the bank called and said that we closed your bank account, and he had the bank account since he was 4 years old. He, like a Swedish person, he's probably not a terrorist, and probably not the mafia guy either. But suddenly, they just closed it because he was associated. He had made a Bitcoin transaction, and then suddenly he didn't have a bank account anymore, and he was very like crying almost. And there's no democratic process. There's no one who has decided this in any democratic way that it's supposed to be like that. It's private company. They can say that we prefer to not have you as customer anymore because we don't have resources to check your transactions or whatever it is. And I think that's very bad, and I don't see this discussed so much. Shouldn't if we're now moving more to that banks have more control, shouldn't there be some obligations also that they at least have to serve the honest customers and not just randomly throw them out for no reason at all and no appeal, no one to talk to? I think that's wrong, and I don't see that discussed much. And you don't have that problem if you have a wallet. There is no one. That is like the permissionless aspect. We talk about decentralized a lot, but I think the feature of cryptocurrencies that most people are actually attracted to is not the decentralized, it's the permissionless aspect. That you don't have to ask anyone for permission to trade on a DEX or send some Bitcoin to another person. And that is a key feature. And I think it has really fueled much of the growth we've seen in this industry, that someone who can't get permission, I mean, we three here, we can get permission to do the trade anyway at some other platform, but some poor guy in a rural village in Africa or something, he can't get it. If he tries to get the permission to do a trade on Nasdaq, he's not going to be able to. So he's locked out.
But I wonder what happens if your bank calls you and says, we close down your account. You gotta transfer it out, right? So can you transfer it all to like Binance and just, okay, I have one final transfer, take it all to Binance? That's my last wish. Because
my dying wish. Yeah,
it's someone should make a website which is like bankless, like not the guys from bank, but like going actually like bankless without the bank, where you get the call, your accounts are down, you ask please final transaction to Binance, and then you see which services to use, because you can still use Swissborg, for example, to get the card and tap, and like a few other fintechs in Europe, at least, there are quite a few. So you will not be starving. You will get a card quite easy. Then maybe you'll have a problem paying with this local payments. Like in Sweden, we have a way of paying which is not like international standard. Maybe in your local jurisdiction you have something similar. That may be a problem. But I think more and more people should consider actually be fully without the bank, because it's possible. It's not impossible. It's not an easy life, but it's not impossible, and it's gonna get easier and easier and easier with time. And I mean, there is something I like with the fact that they are closing bank accounts. I don't dislike it completely. I mean, obviously it's horrible if it happens. It affects your life a lot, but also there is something good that they're kicking you out and you can go to crypto, and they're basically removing their own users. It's like, all companies want more customers, but they are actually giving away their customers to crypto, and we need to ensure that we can capture them. I'm not sure crypto is good enough to capture those people that lose bank accounts, but yeah, that's a very common story that they remove it. James, what do you think on this final? Or actually, James, I have another question too. We have Elon registering X payments.
Yeah.
What will happen? Will it be crypto? Will it be not crypto? What do you think?
We talk about, like I feel X is one of the few places where you can get real-time news. In fact, I shared you guys another kind of list of kind of sound bites of news. Let me pull it up. The head of media of the Wall Street Journal in Davos said, "We no longer own the news." So I hope this is all. I always say everything is connected: crypto, media, government, TradFi, markets, macro. It's all tied in together. For the head of one of the biggest newspapers on the planet to say, and it was very honest of him. It's like saying, "My ship is sinking, everything's fine." But for him to
Yeah,
say,
yeah.
"We no longer control the news," is stunning. Now, guess who does control real-time news? Guess where I go to find out if FTX is dumping? Grayscale. It's Twitter. Do you know
Yeah.
Wall Street Journal? They may never even pick up on that news. And if they do, it'll be a day later because they wrote the paper last night.
And it's gonna be a
And-
wrapper of the tweet. I mean, I don't know if Wall Street Journal does that, but that's like a written media now. It's wrappers around
Yeah,
tweets for
yeah.
search engine, and it's a grift basically.
And that's why
Yeah.
Elon Musk is very clever to not show the media source, just the image. Remember that?
Yeah.
They're very clever. So what the media is doing is they're throwing up paywalls, and not many people are going to buy 1-day-old news anymore. It's dead. The other thing is, can you imagine who would you trust more, Bank of America or Elon Musk with X? I know half the world hates Elon Musk. I get that, but the other half that loves him, I would move my bank there overnight, literally, because I know on this platform I'll have freedom to do whatever I want with my money. Push it to you, buy Bitcoin, whatever. This is going to yet
But
another massive disruption that's
he
coming.
cannot achieve this if he is using the banks. He cannot achieve this if he is served by Bank of America and where client deposits are at Bank of America, because they're
Yeah,
gonna
so-
cancel.
So what'll happen is people are already moving. They're moving away from Vanguard. They're moving away from Bank of America. They're moving away from Merrill Lynch. They see the writing on the wall that these people are controlling what people do with their money. And I'm sure there's European banks. I can't remember one of the Swiss banks, and then Banco Santander in the United Kingdom as well. They blocked crypto transfers. So it's happening. But then the retail customers are smart to move. Now there will be banks that will work with Twitter. Okay, they know that closing themselves off from freedom will kill them eventually. So, like anything else, you got to let the free market decide, and that is also a huge part of Milei's speech. Let the free market decide everything. As soon as you start putting controls in place, everything gets broken.
And how arrogant is it to put a paywall on your newspaper? Because everyone is fighting for time spent on the site, to be very high in search engines, to have engagement, and then you just block. Okay, so no one can read it, so people go to Twitter. So they have created it themselves, just like banks are banning their clients. The newspapers, they banned their clients 10 years ago with a paywall. Exactly.
People are shooting themselves in the foot. It's stupid. But
It's
yeah,
hilarious. And isn't this an incredible statistics? And I mean, I'm one of these people who've done the journey. I mean, look here on the left side. Did I trust what I read in the newspaper or TV news back in the 90s? Yeah, I did. I just assumed it was largely correct. And now look at the percentage of Americans who have a great deal of quite a lot of confidence in newspaper and TV. It's 11 and 16%. How can you even operate?
But the funniest
thing, if like 90% don't believe it anyway, I think it's anyway garbage.
And that data is 2 years old. That's before.
Is it? It's probably worse now then.
Yeah, way worse. Wow. Way worse. Yeah.
And then I want to add one thing on the banks, because now I kind of talk like they are all the same. I don't think they are all the same. And I mean, I'm sure that there are leaders of banks who see the opportunity here, because like CEO is like change equals opportunity. I am sure that there are bank CEOs who recognize that this is maybe the biggest opportunity of the past 50 years or something to grab market share here, because there's a lot of young, wealthy people up and coming who are positive to these new things. And most of the banks are negative, but there are banks that are also seeing it as more positive and as an opportunity. And now with the ETFs, they have a much more clear part where they can play a role, where it fits very well in. And I think that we will see a lot more positivism from the banks already this year, towards Bitcoin and crypto, because now they are part of the ecosystem in a different way. And I think I made a prediction at the end of last year that we will hear some very strong statements from some bank CEOs this year, and I think that will be in both Europe and the US and the rest of the world. So I do think that we will get more positive messages from the banks this year.
Yeah. Well, you know what was the peak of the previous narrative? It was Greta Thunberg at that conference where she was yelling, you know, how dare you? I feel that was like the peak of that worldview, where the whole world was, you know, in that direction. And since then, it's just been more and more and more into the other direction. And now we have Javier Milei, and it's probably going to continue for some decade, if not a few decades, in totally different direction. Because what has happened during the last years with the energy crisis and now inflation, and like it all culminates into people asking, what the hell? It is not working. Something is not working. We need something else. And then, let's see how long it's going to continue in the other direction before we go into the gender study maximalism again. But hopefully it's going to be a few decades. Guys, on this note, let's go to some Q&A. We are at time. Let's spend 10 more minutes.
Well, that was fast.
It was very fast.
We didn't get to DGen.
Today we don't have too much. Well, there's one thing I would like to discuss about the NFT space, because like we've been discussing, the NFTs on Solana have picked up a lot of steam, and I think I understand why, because on Solana you can enforce the creator fee, and it's part of the protocol, and all NFT marketplaces enforce it, while on ETH no one enforces the royalty fee. So if you are a creator today, you actually don't want to mint on EVM because your royalty fee will not be enforced. And as an NFT creator, you have two ways to monetize: either the royalty fee on volume, or you mint more. You mint another collection and another, and then you hope that the revenues will stay up. Obviously, the royalty fee is the better option, because then you and the early holders, you're on the same page. And on Solana they do enforce it, and all marketplaces enforce it, and that kind of explains the growth of it. And also the ordinals is crazy, but that's a hype cycle. Let's see for how long it continues. I think it's very strong. But that's one observation I've had during this week, where it makes sense from a business perspective why a lot of new collections, they are on Solana due to the fee that you can get paid. And on EVM, it's transitioned from the fee to like a donation, where if you use OpenSea, you can donate to creators, but it's not enforced. Do you have anything else?
Yeah, one other thing that I think, James, you mentioned it, and it's actually interesting, because I'm going to give something that you will like, James, because the criticism sometimes with Solana has been that, but there's not enough nodes, so therefore it's not decentralized enough, or something like that. Okay, but there is actually a huge problem in Ethereum, and that is that all the nodes kind of run the same. The clients, the execution clients, 85% run the same software. And yesterday there was a big bug in the second biggest client software, which caused some blocks to be invalid. Fortunately, that's only like, 10% of clients run that one. What if it had been a bug in this one instead, running like 85%, if this number is up to date? So when we talk that everything is decentralized, there's so many different aspects of it, and it doesn't mean that nothing can go wrong. This was pretty close, I would say, that there could have been like a malfunction in the Ethereum network today.
Yeah. And there's one quick slide on the NFT story too, which I'm sharing if you want to pop it up there, Ivan. You can see this one here. If you look at 2023, 75% of all NFT deployments happened on Bitcoin and Solana. And that took a lot of people by surprise, especially the Bitcoin part.
Yeah, with the Bitcoin part, I'm trying to understand like the business use case still. I mean, it is the hype. It is the fact that you mean something is going to get attention because it is on Bitcoin. On Solana, I do understand from a business perspective. ETH, it's like the OG collectibles are there, but I haven't seen too many like new mints. But it's OG like penguins and punks and apes. But all of them have a massive problem with revenue now due to this fee problem. And but yeah, Bitcoin, guys. I mean, that's crazy. Maybe we can discuss it next week. I have some material to share, but it's a lot of things happening on Bitcoin. It's a whole DeFi ecosystem building, and it can probably be a whole episode just that.
Good. Okay.
Good, guys. Let's see. The big question. Let's see. Hedge Poodle. Did we discuss it, or what the hell was it? It was maybe on another stream. It's some kind of joke. Remind me, Guzman, what the hell that is. Okay, guys. Questions. What will be the impact of the Hong Kong? I mean, that's a good question, because actually there are many ETFs around the world in crypto, but no one cares, and it's very minor. At least that's how it seems to me. What do you guys think about Hong Kong? Well, Hong Kong is the latest one, right? That has got attention.
Yeah, well, people underestimate Hong Kong, and basically, when people want to do offshore transactions in China, that's their first stepping stone. It's not Singapore, it's Hong Kong. So for those, if you look at the actual size of the Hong Kong market for buying a Bitcoin ETF, it's about $500 million. But if you look at the size of the Chinese market for buying a Bitcoin ETF, it is 10 times that amount. That's what you need to think about. So.
And for example, Canada ETF was a dud, says TC. So
Yeah,
Canada, it's a small market, or because they have had this ETF for quite some time, right?
Yeah, the thing is, even if you add up all of the Bitcoin in all of the ETFs and ETPs around the world, it's 950,000 Bitcoin. So consider 5% of all the Bitcoin in the world is in these products, and that's about to go to 10% real fast. Okay, and remember, 75%, 78%, depending on how you ask, is being held by long-term holders. So you really are looking at maybe 2.8 million, 1.8 million of Bitcoin that can be accessible by these products.
Yeah.
It's that supply crunch is coming. It's just a question of when. We know that for a fact. So all of these ETPs, ETFs, they nibble away at a very small supply that's going to become 450 a day. And that's simply not enough production. And that's the simple calculus behind all of this.
Someone asked about NFT collection. You know that I love the Pudges. Let me just show you guys. I don't know if you follow NFTs, CTO.
I heard they have a new floor of 10 ETH or something.
No, 20, almost 20.
20.
It was insane. So the Pudges, guys, it is the new one that is, well, it's not new. It was minted in 2021 or so, but it's really taking over the apes. It's going to take over everything. So yeah, here in 2021, average price was 2, and then through the bear market, you see the blue chart, through the bear market, they've been going up, and now they mooned all the way to like, average price 16, but yeah, it went to like the floor price on Blur at least was like 17, 18. So it's Pudges, guys. That's it. There is no contestant now, at least. But yeah, let's see. New cycle, new NFTs, new opportunities. What is the downside of the ETF? As long as Bitcoin does well, the ETF does well. What is the downside? Outside of this, like obvious ones, where it's not self-custody, and the banks are gonna manipulate and wreck us and all of that. How would you formulate? Like, if we are to formulate it concisely, what do you guys think? What is the downside?
Well, the only big danger that I see with all the ETFs is depending on how much control they have and how much influence they have over things called miners and the protocol. That's the only danger. But for them to have any influence or control over that, they need to have a huge amount of Bitcoin. And that could be 30, 40, 50% of it, which it'll never happen because long-term holders aren't going to let go. So downside, apart from the two things you mentioned, Ivan, I don't see anything else other than that big perspective. But anyway, crypto people move fast. If they sense something awry is happening with the chain, or it can't scale, or it's getting completely clogged, they'll move. They'll be gone in a minute. They'll be like, sell it and move on to another asset. And then TradFi will be left with Bitcoin. So,
CTO, final word to you about this ETF.
Downside of the ETF. I think the only thing I can think about is that there will be a narrative that, okay, guys, but now you can get price exposure in a legally compliant and fully transparent way. So there's no need for you guys to have your wallets anymore. No wallets for you. That could be like the narrative that could
But
play
all the
out.
shit coins, all the new mints, all the you means all the gains if you're an ETF and
Oh,
without
absolutely.
a
I mean,
custodian.
since the beginning of crypto, I love altcoins. I love innovation. I love the new stuff, the new crazy things. Most things don't work out, but once in a while something does, and it goes 100x, 1000x, and that's so exciting about this whole space. And you don't get that with ETFs. There's not going to be an ETF for something before it goes 100x or 1000x. That's going to be after. So if you want in early, you still need to be on the ground floor.
James, any final words from you on this whole stream, or anything in particular before we wrap this up?
Just everybody keep an eye on the government and what's happening where you live. Keep an eye on CBDCs, keep an eye on the macro, keep an eye on the controls, because in many countries they're coming for you. And we see that at the WEF. I think we should all play our skin flutes right now. Remember the song on the WEF, whatever they call it? Air flute, whatever. I saw that.
There was another weird one this time with Pocahontas. It was like an Indian woman. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it was like Elizabeth Warren, but it wasn't Elizabeth Warren, but people said it's
She's spreading the new strain, and it's a good strain, apparently.
Exactly. She was coughing. It was so weird.
Yeah. It went from masked up to spreading everything. It's just
exactly. Yeah,
they've completely lost it. The WEF has become the laughing stock of the planet, and people are getting smarter, and they know what's going on. So I'm just very grateful for that, and they keep on shooting themselves in the foot, just like the banks and everybody else. So thank you guys. Have a great week.
Thanks, guys. Thanks a lot, all of you who watched. Smash the like, subscribe to CTO Larson and Invest Answers James. I'll put the link in the description, and have a good week. Goodbye, guys. Goodbye.
Bye.